there, I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. I've forgotten my lipstick. Oh dear. Oh well. You know, they say if you want to look good, comb your hair and put on some lipstick, but we're going to forgo that today. We have a lot to talk about. So who cares how I look? It's all about knitting. We're here in Needham, Massachusetts at Black Sheep Knitting. Wanted to just shout out to all the people who got back to us when I asked, you know, people from different places to let us know where you're watching us from, and boy do we appreciate that. It's so fun, and I'm so thrilled to see that we're spreading out in the world a little bit. So I'm going to mention, this will take a minute, but I want to mention these people who took the time to get back to us. So we have Denise from Southern California, Julia from the Pacific Northwest, Karen from Hamilton, New Zealand. I love New Zealand, I've been there. Connie from Virginia, Frances from Melbourne, Florida, Carol, hi Carol, from Martha's Vineyard, Christine from Clepstow, South Wales, Molly from New York City, Astrid from Niagara, Canada, I've been there, Kara from Tennessee, Caroline from Dublin, a great city, Barbara from Calgary, I've been there, to Stash Lounge, to their yarn shop, Charlotte from Denmark, Lauren from New Zealand, Joanna from Minnesota, Pia from the Netherlands, and Kim from San Diego. Thanks so much, everybody. That's just, it's so fun to hear where you're from and that you found us somehow on YouTube, and that I hope you enjoy watching us. So if you haven't subscribed, I imagine that you have, but if you haven't, please do. Had a couple of things just to start off. I got talking, I don't even know where we were talking about. Somebody asked, what is an edge stitch? So an edge stitch comes into play mostly when you're doing a seam, and the designer generally has an extra stitch at the end, although they don't tell you it's an extra stitch necessarily, but they might call it an edge stitch. And what happens, what that is that stitch is meant to be used in the seam when you're seaming your piece. And you see it in two ways mostly. You can see it as always, it would appear to you on the right side as a stockinette stitch, which means, and I think I'm going to sneeze, which means that on the right side it's a knit and on the wrong side it's a purl. But sometimes it's just a garter stitch, so it might just always be a knit no matter what side you're on. So that's what an edge stitch is. And I remember a long time ago when I was first knitting, encountering that, and I asked a couple of people, and we were just dumbfounded. What's an edge stitch? What is it? Well, it is exactly what it says. It's an extra stitch on the edge of your piece. Sometimes an edge stitch could come into play when you're just trying to have a finished look. So it's not necessarily meant for a seam, but it may be that the designer wants to see a stockinette stitch all along one edge. So that's what that is. I had another thing that somebody was talking about, probably on a podcast that I watched, and somebody was saying, how much do you wear your knits? Which is an interesting thing. Some people knit them and then put them on the shelf and not to be seen again. I hope that's not the case with you. I do try to wear my knits, and if it's not something I particularly love on me, it comes in here as a sample, or I gift it to someone. But I don't let it sit on the shelf. You put all that work into it. If you really don't like it, unravel it and knit something else. I mean, there's no harm in that at all. And I'm doing that with two things that I'm unraveling, and one I'm re-knitting on a smaller gauge, one I'm just going to do something else. You have to, if it's just been knit, the crimps that the stitches make are not terrible, But I do recommend that you put it back in skeins. You can use a winder. You could come in here and use our winder, and then put some ties around it to keep all the bits of yarn together, and then soak it in the sink in some eucalyptus, and then you can wrap it in a towel. You have to be careful, you don't want to tangle it, and then hang it up to dry, and then it's ready to use again. You don't want to knit with yarn that's all crimped, you know, that has all the wavy stuff in it.
Wait, how do you get it from the ball back to the skein?
You come in here to get it from a ball. Robin said, how do you get it from a ball back to a skein? You come in here and you tie it up on our Swift, and by hand you're gonna, or you can put it around a chair, or your husband or partner can hold their hands up and you can just wind it around. It's a little tedious, but it's worth it, you know, in the end. So I recommend wear your knits. Don't be, you know, don't be shy about wearing them. Don't think, oh, it doesn't look good on me. Baloney. Who cares? You spent all this time making it, wear it. And I think we as women spend an awful lot of time, way too much time, worrying about how something looks on us. You know, if it's a pretty knit, wear it. If it doesn't fit you, gift it or redo it. But certainly after you put all that time in it, don't, or hang it up on a wall and look at it. You know, use it as a piece of art, but don't let it sit unattended and unused in a drawer. Those are my words of wisdom for today. Wanted to show you what I'm wearing, which is the Rocket Tee, which you can see is a short sleeve tee. But if you look at the pattern, and Robin will probably put it up here, it's by Tanis Lavallee, Tanis Fiber Arts, and it is in a fingering weight, but she stripes it. I didn't stripe it. I love this. I love the fit of it. It has an I-cord all around the sleeve and the neckline and the waist, and it has these lovely raglan, which I love it when it shows like that. It's pretty nice. So I use.
Take your hand away for a second. Oh,
can you see it?
There.
There.
Still can't see it. Yeah, you have to pull your sweater, your pink sweater down.
How's that?
That's better.
I'm stripping here in the shop. Anyway, and this is a wool. It's something I dyed, and it's today when we're filming it. When I came in, it was 86 degrees. It was fine walking from the car to air conditioning, and this is a perfect thing to wear in air conditioning, and I even have a lightweight sweater over it. So I recommend it. I have some ideas for combinations of striping. So I have, this is Alegria and Ariel Color is the mohair. So you could stripe like this. And incidentally, the Alegria, it's a superwash merino. I believe it's a merino. And it's got some polyamide in it. It is the softest next to your skin. I defy anybody to tell me this itches them. So that's one combination. Here's one. This is Alegria, and this is the Alegria Oxygen with Isager Silk Mohair Mint. These two. Then, so nice of Isager and Alegria to team up with matching colors. This is Alegria Stratus and Silk Mohair Light Blue. Aren't those pretty? And then I went totally wild with Alegria. Look at these. That be a fun summer color. This is Juanita in the Alegria, and this is Bright Idea in the Alegria. I think those are just really fun. And again, you could make your stripes as wide or narrow as you like. Doesn't matter. And this is actually, this I pulled from the wrong place, but I think I have an Alegria. This is Harriet fine called Pampa Sunrise. This would also be fine, but I think Alegria has a color in this color. I think they've got one. And this is Litchi. Look at those. Summer, summer, summer. So we have another sample in the shop, and this one's definitely going to come home with me, I think. This is called Striped Tea by Claudia Q from Unit in Toronto. And she's Claudia Quintanilla, I think it's Quintanilla. A lovely woman. And this design I like a lot because she did this stitch on the sleeve and on the bottom. And your choice, you could do this throughout the whole tee if you wanted. It's a thought. You could do that in the stripes. But anyway, this is a stripe in our amazing Sami. So it's these two colors. And this yarn, again, I sing its praises all the time. There's Sami and Sami XL, and I'm doing my Leith cardigan in the XL, the heavier. But this is the regular Sami, and this is sugared violet, and this is chalk. And this is such a wonderful summer, soft summer knit. It's amazing. And I'll show you some other combinations. That would be a fun summer color. This is Sandcastle and Amethyst and Seafoam. That's wonderful. I can just imagine myself walking on the beach with that. And this for neutral lovers. This one is Sand. I love that. It's nice and subtle. And I love this too. Why can't I have them all? This one is Coral. But
well, you could have them all. But,
I could. I'd have to work my tail off. But the other thing, Robin and I had a thought. We were talking about a gift for a baby, and a wonderful idea for this yarn is to make some washcloths. Now I know people think that's, but this would be so perfect for wonderful soft washcloths on a baby's face. You could do, I think Catherine, who works here only in the winter, had done some in a seed stitch with a couple of colors. And like if you put, what if you put 3 colors together and did some kind of striping, something, but using a seed stitch. And I'm sure there is a pattern out there, but this would be, what a lovely gift, and something somebody isn't going to get, and you could do them pretty quickly. So I have a baby in mind for some that I might do. So, and having said that, this is a wonderful idea for a baby blanket as well. It's just wonderfully soft. Okay, on to the next thing. Wanted to show you something I plan on doing, and I think we showed this before, but this is very popular right now. It's called the Luminous Tee, and it's a bottom-up. I don't know, there's some unusual bits about this, but I think it's a fun knit. She has some, and this is by Yamagara, who incidentally has amazing patterns if you want to check her out. But there's some interesting things. This one she's showing 2 alternate kinds of yarns to choose from. But she has a really interesting, and she's got some nice pictures. But if you look here, Robin and I were looking at this, look at the shoulder, that detail. Isn't that fun? So this is going to be, I think, the next thing on my needles. I finished 2 things this week and forgot to bring them in. But these are, you can give me a shout out what you think I should do. I want this as the base color. And so for my contrast, I had some choices. This is a yarn that I dyed. pink and black. Then I have, these are all from my stash. This was from Fused Fibers. That one. This one. This one is from, Farmer's Daughters Fibers. This one is Fru Valborg. I think this was dyed for Stephen West. I got that when I was at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I remember buying that. And I have one more, and this is from the Walk collection. I think I might have gotten that at Vogue. I'm not sure. It's called Cozy Merino, but so I have to make a choice. I'll wait a couple days and see if I get a lot of votes on one or the other, which one I should do. But it looks like a fun, quick knit. Wanted to show you a WIP that I have. This is a very fun, quick knit. This is called Sabai Top Number 1. And I thought I wanted a black sleeveless tee. So I chose Modern Cotton. And I've been really liking this yarn. We did the Northwoods V-neck in it that I just adore. And it's easy to knit with, and I'm on a size 7 needle, I believe, and it's a fun construction because you begin in the round doing the ribbing, which is the neck. You then put the back stitches on hold, and you're going down, this is the armhole, and she has you doing this edge, which is a 1x1 rib, sort of, or is it, it's knit one, purl one, and you get this really nice edge, and then there's an edge, 2 edge stitches here that are kind of cool. It's an easy pattern to remember. It's just stockinette with those edge stitches, and those are simple to remember. So when I get to the bottom of the armhole, I'll stop and put these on a holder, and then put these back on the needle and knit down to the other piece and join it in the round and knit, finish. And yes, Robin has a question.
So, and you can't hear me, so you'll have to repeat it.
Okay.
The gauge difference between knitting the flap in the front and then the back and then joining in the round.
Okay, so you're going to have to be, Robin's asking, what's going to happen when I go from knitting this back and forth to knitting this in the round? And you're going to have to really pay close attention. What you might want to do before you start this project is do a gauge in flat stockinette and a gauge in the round. And what you might find you might have to do is change your needle size to knit the bottom.
Or the top.
Or the top. Well, you'll start with one needle and then change when you get there. So be aware of that. Even if you've done both the gauge and you get down there and it starts to look different, you gotta stop and maybe change your needle. I would say change the way you knit. The problem with that is you'll get going and you'll go right back to how you normally knit. So there wouldn't be a harm in changing the needle if it's looks like that's what might happen. Anyway, I'm going to hope for the best. This is black, so if it is a tiny bit different, you're not going to see it. And I could block out a little bit of the difference if I decided.
Another question is the difference in feel between the Modern Cotton and the XL, the Sami XL.
There is, I brought my Sami XL Leith sweater because I wanted to talk about the needle for a bit. Robin's question, is there a difference in the feel of these?
Because
Yeah.
the gauge is the same.
Gauge is about the same. This, the XL is softer. But this, I assure you, is lovely to wear as well. Again, and I say this over and over, cotton gets a bad rap. I think these yarns are delightful to knit with and delightful to wear. And so if you are somebody who is adverse to wool, this is a wonderful solution. Yeah, and if you want something in the summer. I fully plan to knit something. I think my next thing might be, I want to do a baby blanket for a little girl. And I might use some of these colors in that because I think it's so great. But that brings up this question. I think we had a viewer whose question, she wanted to know what these needles are. And they are Carbones. I think they're Knitter's Pride. I forget, but it's K-A-R-B-O-N-Z. And they are from a set of interchangeables. And I like them, they're fine, and it just happened to be that this is what I had in a, what size am I on? 7 or an 8? I can't remember. Robin, can you remember? I'm on a 7.
I'm doing it in 7.
Because Robin's also doing it.
And the reason
But
you only have that one left is because you have so many projects going at once.
I know, the reason that I couldn't find one is in my stash, and believe me, I have a stash of needles that you wouldn't believe. I have things on projects and things at the bottom of bags. I try to put my needles all back where I have them in. I have them in plastic baggies, Ziplocs, and there's a place you can write on it. I have the numbers, and then I have them in a big stand-up bag, so I always can find needles. And I have enough so that it makes sense to do that, so I recommend that. One more thing before we're going to get Robin in front of the camera, but we had an idea to do, and I misplaced the pattern, but Robin can show it, the comfort chicken. What's it called?
Emotional support
The
chicken.
the emotional support chicken seems to be very popular. So we were trying, we think we're going to make 1 or 2 for the shop, and we were trying to come up with the ones we've seen. The chickens were brown, and I'm not a brown fan necessarily, and so Paige, one of our staff members, has 6 chickens at home. I said, well, what color are they? And she said, well, some are black and white, gray. The prettiest black and white one, she said, is kind of not a nice little chicken. She picks on others. So I had picked, I can't remember what color. I went home, and when I came back this morning, they had picked this, which I think is utterly perfect. This is the Uptown worsted, and this color is titanium heather. And we also have, I think, a black one. And to my mind, I often watch, and if you haven't, you don't follow Joyce Vance, who is a advisor for MSNBC, but she's a judge in Alabama, and she's a knitter, avid knitter, and she has chickens, and you often see chickens when she posts on Instagram or something, and she's got some gorgeous colored ones, but they're often black and white. So these are, and I think this chicken will have an orange stripe, and this will be the beak and the whatever you call that thing on the, or here and there, whatever those are called. So look for that. It's a fun gift to give somebody. It's a very easy pattern, and people have been doing that. And then we're going to bring Robin in front of the camera, who's going to show you what she's knitting and some possibilities of the yarns. So rather than having to weave in 1,000 ends, we came up with an idea of some yarn that we had in the shop, and this is the Arucania Huasco cotton sock, I believe. Anyway, it's a cotton, and it's 100% cotton. So here are, what about doing one that is a combination of these colors? I think they're really pretty. This cotton, I've seen it knit up in tops. It's quite nice. It's a fingering
Pattern
weight.
actually has directions for 3 or 6
Colors?
So, yeah, so you can.
So you could do 3 or
around.
6 colors, but you could play around with like maybe these or this and just keep repeating. Or what about that? Isn't that beautiful? So there are lots of choices. And then I thought of another yarn that stripes by itself and has lots of color in it. So I think the Wool Addicts footprint yarn would be fun. You could do it by itself where it would stripe, or you could do a couple of different colors together. So this color is 03, 05, and we have 02, and we have 11. And this one is one of my favorites. I use this for a sweater with some mohair. And this says it's 07. I guess I didn't say that before. No. So you could put a lot of these together and stripe them. I think they would be a lot of fun. So we thank you, Robin, for joining us, and maybe Robin will come back soon. I think maybe that's all I have to say. The Rebecca Clow knit-along is going along really well. We have people who've joined us on Friday, and please come in. We have a lot of fun on Friday afternoon. It's cool in here. We have air conditioning, and you're welcome to come in today or tomorrow afternoon to get out of the... Oh yeah, today's, I'm sorry. You won't, some of you won't see this till Saturday, some of you will see this tomorrow or Friday. If you're hot, come and knit with us. We're happy to have you. It's always nice to have people in the shop. And people learn from each other, you get, ideas from each other. So that is fun. I didn't announce the prizes. We're going to be giving gift certificates, so we'll do a random generator. And the first prize will be a $100 gift certificate to the shop. Second prize will be $50 to the shop. And the third prize will be $25 to the shop. So we hope you'll participate. Remember, if you buy the yarn from us, you have to have bought the yarn from us, we will give you 20% off if you're doing it for the knit-along. So we like that. And please, again, if you haven't shouted out to us before from afar, afar can even be New Hampshire, but we'd love to hear from you. And if you have ideas or suggestions for us, something, or show us what you're knitting, tell us what you're knitting, or tell us something you'd like to know about, and we're happy to try to tell you. So that's all for today. Enjoy the summer. This is the time to get outside or go swimming, or sit inside in the air conditioning and knit, which is probably what I'll do. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye.